Harden adding 20 in a losing effort. After the game, James Harden was asked about missing the October 18th deadline to sign an extension with the Nets. He says Nets fans have nothing to worry about. Take a listen.
Honestly, I've just been focused on getting healthy, getting my body right, and then, preparing for a season, a great season. The contract, the money is going to be there. I'm planning on leaving, this organization in the situation that we have. So my focus, honestly, is just focusing on the season and winning a championship.
Okay, Tim Legler. So didn't sign. Nets fans have nothing to worry about. Do you believe everything he's saying?
Yes, I'm going to take him at face value because I'm thinking to myself, could a dude really be looking at other pastures before he's really done anything here? All right, I mean, that's what it is? It's just a way station on the way to the next stop, Stephen A. I think genuinely what he just said is true. Based on what he dealt with last year and the way his season ended and out there on one leg and how disappointing that must have been that he wasn't out there to help Kevin Durant, and obviously Kyrie was also not there. As disappointing as that was, I do believe him, and he's had some other issues physically at that time of the year. He was focused on getting himself ready, his mind right, getting ready to come back in and try to lead this group to a championship, along with KD. I think to myself, he's happy here, Stephen A., as long as KD is. I think some people are playing into the fact, well, what if something goes south here with Kyrie? If they don't work it out, he doesn't get vaccinated, he doesn't play, they move him, and people are thinking that could be a trigger, an impetus for James Harden leaving. I don't know why those two things would be connected. I think he would believe, as long as I got KD, and it's still his team, it's been his team from day one, it's his ball, his show, he dictates possessions, he's got what he wants in that, and he's got Kevin Durant there. I think he believes that they're going to be committed enough to try to always put the pieces around him to give him the best chance to win a championship. So I say, yes, I do think that James Harden is happy here, and I do think right now he's solely focused on having a full, healthy season and seeing what these two dudes can do. And I think in his mind, he thinks they're going to win a championship this year.
First of all, let's be very, very clear. To answer the question, do I believe James Harden? Hell no. I don't believe a damn thing he just said. Now, I'm not saying that in a derogatory or acerbic fashion aimed at him. I'm just saying I don't believe him when it comes to this particular situation. James Harden has an opportunity to explore free agency for the first time in his career at the end of the season by not signing that contract extension, okay? Why wouldn't you do it? Because you ain't sure about the situation you in. I would remind y'all, this is the same James Harden. You remember this. He's in Houston. He has an opportunity to sign a 2-year, $103 million extension. Turns it down. He didn't tell anybody at that particular moment he wanted out. He waited. They played through the season. What happens? Ultimately, he ends up wanting out. Okay? In this particular situation in Brooklyn, James Harden ain't signed up for this stuff with Kyrie. You don't know what kind of distractions Kyrie is going to cause to this franchise. We know what he's done already, but we don't know how bad it could end up getting. And if you're James Harden, you might find yourself, I'm not saying he will, but you might find yourself in a situation where you like, I ain't signed up for this. This ain't what we were supposed to be doing here. What the hell's going on? And so, yeah, if you are a baller, you gotta love playing with KD. It doesn't get much better than that because the brother is unselfish, he's selfless, and he's a bona fide big-time superstar in the NBA game of basketball. Bottom line, we get all of that. But in Philadelphia, if you've got Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid and a coach in Doc Rivers, even though Doc Rivers, a championship has escaped him, he won the championship in 2008 with Boston, took him back to the finals in Game 7, lost to the Los Angeles Lakers and Kobe Bryant, God rest his soul. Ever since then, you had your 7 years in the Clippers organization. Couldn't get them to the conference finals. Now you in Philly. You came one game short of getting them to the conference finals. So Doc Rivers got some stuff to prove here, too. Let's remember that Daryl Morey has something to prove. Let's remember that Daryl Morey and James Harden together got unfinished business. Let's not ignore any of that. And I don't think it's an accident that James Harden hasn't signed this extension. I'd be shocked if Kyrie still got offered an extension after all of this nonsense that's been going on. But James Harden has had that there waiting for him, and he didn't sign it. Why not?
I got one question for you.
Sure.
Don't you think, based on the Kyrie element of this, where you said James Harden's looking around, might look around at one point and go, I didn't sign up for this, all this distraction with Kyrie and this nonsense. Don't you think far before it got to that point that Brooklyn Nets would have already had this conversation with James Harden, and they'll address the Kyrie situation. Of the three of them, Kyrie is clearly the most expendable.
That's right.
Okay, and
totally agree.
So they'll do whatever it would take to make sure that it never got to that point.
Yeah, but here's
for
my
James
question,
Harden.
Tim. Here's my question. What more can they do? Kyrie's not there. They made a decision. You don't get to be a part-timer. You here full-time or not at all. So they've already made the decision. They've made the decision about Kyrie Irving. If you ain't going to be vaccinated, you ain't going to be playing on this team because you'll be violating New York City mandates, and we ain't going for it. A lot of us didn't want to take the vaccine, but guess what? We had to. You should be there as well. That's their attitude towards him. And they're saying, you ain't doing this, you ain't playing. Kyrie said, all right, then I ain't playing. So it's really on James Harden and Kevin Durant right now, along with Marks, along with Steve Nash and the rest of the organization. I'm saying to you, if it's any other situation, that's different. The fact that Philadelphia has Daryl Morey, and we know how James Harden feels about playing for Daryl Morey. We know what kind of perks Daryl Morey threw in his direction. There was the James Harden treatment, and then there was everybody else in Houston. We understand all of that. And to James Harden's credit, Houston didn't mind because he'd play hurt. He didn't want to miss games. He gave it all he had, the whole bit.
Kevin Durant's not there.
I understand that. All I'm saying is, but Joel Embiid is. Tobias Harris is not a scrub. Maxey and those boys are not scrubs. They can play. And if you add a James Harden, okay, James Harden doesn't necessarily have to be differential because you don't even have to be differential with Joel Embiid.
I think you said it yourself. It doesn't get better than playing with Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
And if I'm James Harden, to me,
agree.
that's going to weigh heavily.
I agree that that's what it should be.
Yeah.
I'm saying to you, the debate here is, do we trust that James Harden feels that way?
Yeah.
I don't know that because of Daryl Morey. Thanks for watching ESPN.